Hello and welcome, Whale Fam. I'm here with Cöco Mamba for another episode of Artist Fireside Chat. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
I'm really excited to interview you today because you are a prolific filmmaker, recording artist, a songwriter, a creative producer, vocalist, and she produces her own videos pretty much from top to bottom. It's like really impressive. And so yeah, thanks for coming. And I guess my first question for you is, so you're a film graduate from Parsons School of Design, and you started with documentary filmmaking, and one of your first projects is called Hour by Hour, which is point of view, day in the life docuseries about your life as a creative in New York. And now in 2021, you are in the crypto art space making waves. So how did you find yourself here after this artist path that you're on?
Well, actually, I went to school for design, like business and design strategy, and I kind of accidentally got into filmmaking. We had to do a lot of like case studies in college, and I just got like really hype about the editing process over videos that like weren't that deep. And then I got into filmmaking that way. As far as the crypto space, shout out to Ja and Latasha. They had hit me up because I had been doing videos like during quarantine, and even after that, after moving from New York City to Virginia Beach. And he was like, I think you would be really dope in this space, and like literally just gave me a crash course on it like in a day. And I just kind of got the hang of it and started uploading videos that I had already done into the space. And yeah.
And so when was that?
This had to be about March, like beginning of March, like March 1st. So like about a month.
Oh, wow. So you're like super new.
Very, very, very new.
I'm not new at all to creating films. And, you know, I read that you are a freelance video editor also, which is really cool.
Thanks.
So I was curious, like, you know, since you're so new, did you have any like issues as you were like getting acclimated to the NFT space? Was there anything that you wish you knew before you got into it?
I think I'm just kind of learning as I go. I like diving into new things. Like I'm self-taught with everything. I taught myself how to shoot, how to edit. I've taught myself I just started getting into like making my own beats and everything like that. So kind of like faking it till I make it. There's a lot of terminology that I'm trying to get used to, and just kind of like just studying the space to see how I can fit in the space and like how my work can grow within it. But yeah, I think the biggest thing is kind of just like getting the hang of like the terminology and like the type of work, because I always want to create what I want to create, not like what people want to see, but kind of like figuring out where I can fit.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like, you know, your work is really unique. Like your style is unique. And,
Thank you.
Yeah, it's standing out to me. And I mean, you've sold some of your pieces for like 1 ETH, which is like pretty good.
I was like, oh my God, thank you. Like it's really amazing. Because I self-fund everything. Like all of my video editing, freelance work I do is used to fund. It's okay.
Right. We'll play that in a moment.
Yeah, no worries. Awesome. Yeah, but all of the freelance work that I do funds the music that I make and like the art that I create. And a lot of the times I'm just doing it just for the love of creating, not really for like a profit. So it feels kind of good to kind of like be compensated for kind of just art that I've just put out into the world, I guess for free, but I don't really think of it in a monetary sense. So.
Yeah, no, I think it's important too, like with this space to try to find ways to not focus so much on the money, because it's really easy to fall into that with this space. I think, especially hearing about, you know, artists like people selling their stuff for $69 million and like
crazy.
And like, you're just like, well, if they can do that, I mean,
right.
But it's definitely it's happening for a lot of artists where there's these different levels of success, and they're finding their space within this universe, and it's really cool to see. Yeah. So one of the things you were working on in 2020 were these quarantine bops. And so I'll just like play this one really quick. They're only about 60 seconds, but I feel like they totally encapsulate a lot of thoughts that we've all had during quarantine. And
yeah.
So I'm gonna play this one first, called Bride. Hold on, start it over.
I just wanna ride with my homies, late night cruising, keeping low choosing where I wanna be when I'm lonely. But I'm not free to live my routine through, so I use dreams to console me. They can OD and overwhelm me, but I don't let fear behold me. I just wanna ride with my homies.
Wish that I was chillin' to my top notch, somewhere that was not up from all the hot spots, bruh. Sailing on the ocean and my thoughts like, I be getting salty cause I'm good. I just wanna focus on the good things, what the future could bring, breaking from my TV screen, calling for distraction so I need these streams, riding with my homies till I easy breathe.
It is, oh, now I can't find
it. That's dope.
It's so dope. And also Nytmare, I forgot to mention that Nytmare is here with us to help.
Yeah.
Weird. So thank you so much.
Oh, go ahead, Heather. See, look, I'm already trying to jump in. I get too excited when I hear the music. No, I had a quick question on this one. I see that it was collected by Connie Digital, who is the pioneer of audio NFTs. So do you have a relationship with Connie? Do you know him personally? And has he given you any kind of tips to get involved in this game?
No, I don't. That was my first buy. And he did message me. Kind of just like, congratulating me and like complimenting my work. So shout out to you. Thank you so much for buying my first NFT. But no, I don't have a personal relationship with him. I'm kind of just like, the two people that I knew beforehand, again, was John, Latasha, which like are two really good people to know in this space. So they definitely, Ja for sure has been helping me out a lot, like with all my annoying questions, like, hey, me again, like, what does this mean? Or how do I unwrap this? And, all that stuff. But
well, very cool. Might be someone you might want to reach out and give him a shout out. I'm certain he would, he would lend you some advice and some tips on, he's pioneered a bunch of stuff in this space and continues to experiment. So a great resource. But I just wanted to make mention, I'm taking in a lot of your different socials and stuff that you do. And there's a lot of conversation sometimes about, we mentioned people. There's so much money coming into this space that we're seeing all kinds of bands and people that kind of have tertiary interest really in the tech kind of come and try to get involved and just slap stuff together. But you really have a total package because you're doing the audio, you're doing the visual, you're learning to do all of this yourself. So really, it's incredible to see someone with those kinds of talents and resources get involved.
Thank you. Wow. It's really cool because again, it's like, especially during quarantine, like I was out of the country when it happened. And when I came back, I was subletting my apartment. So I literally was like on my brother's couch. It's a 2-bedroom and it was like 4 of us in that apartment. And I'm kind of just like, all right, I'm going crazy. Like I can't go out, like, going from living in New York City and being able to go out all the time to being trapped in like, a living room. I kind of was like, all right, like, how do I have an outlet to kind of just get all this creative energy out? So that's kind of like where, and I think it speaks to a lot of people. I mean, however you handled the quarantine, like, I'm not going to be like, you should come out of here with the craft or whatever, like, because just getting through it and surviving is like enough in itself. But, just kind of teaching myself and kind of like having fun and being creative is what got me through it. So it's really cool to like, I don't know, that came out of it.
Yeah, and then you had also mentioned, being able to sell something for an ETH, and we all know, well, most of us have heard what the pay scale is, right, for streams and things of that nature. So talk to us a little bit about your thoughts on NFTs and what that allows you to do as an artist, as opposed to trying to rely on traditional methodologies of being signed or pays for streams and things like that.
Right. I mean, it makes a huge difference. Like I myself as an artist, I've had experience like sitting down with labels and it's kind of like, yeah, you're really dope and talented, but like get your like as soon as you basically do all the work, get your followers up, like get the audience yourself, then we'll like put some backing behind you. And it's kind of like, all right, to do the stuff I want to do, like to keep doing what I'm doing, I'm going to need some money. You know, I don't like to break things down to money, but everything costs money. You know, my Adobe suite costs $30 a month. Like the laptop that I have a laptop and a desktop computer that costs money. Like all of these things cost money. And even with streams, like even if you break it down to the music industry, like getting I mean, I produce my own stuff, but when I was working with producers, like it costs money to make the beat, it costs money to get it mixed and mastered. Like I have a really dope engineer, shout out to Justin, like that costs money. Like, and then you get the streams and it's kind of like 0.5 cents like a stream. So you kind of really have to love it, love the art of it, and not be into it for making money, at least in the beginning. Like some people do get lucky and just blow up immediately, and you know, but you know, for a lot of people like myself, that's not the case. So with NFTs, it's been really dope again to like kind of like to create, and then like again with myself, like I usually fund everything myself. So to like, it's like kind of like a cycle. Like I get the money, I sell a piece, then I get money, and now I'm able to do more of the things that like I was doing before. Like there are a lot of music videos that I've shot like during my travels and stuff, because I travel a lot, and again, all that's out of pocket. So it's dope to like, I don't know, I can kind of just, I don't have to be as meticulous or as strategic, because now I know that there's a way that would fund these things without me struggling, or like, you know, having to like not skip a couple meals, but like, you know, just be really frugal for the months coming up before I do have a big project.
Yeah, and then, you know, from a consumer or from someone in the space, or someone that's an advocate for different movements, being able to support artists so they can do art is empowering to us as consumers as well, right? Like someone doesn't have to juggle their 9 to 5 as an accountant or whatever they're doing, working at Whole Foods and just trying to put down tracks or trying to make videos or visual art at night. They can, you know, maybe take that month off and see how it goes, and then before you know, they're taking 6 months, a year, and they're a full-time artist. So being able to be a part of empowering and supporting people, I think is powerful all the way around. So a lot of great things I think are coming from this movement.
That's really dope.
Hold on, I lost my window again. Yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting that like to hear that you're getting attention from these like record labels, and then they're like, oh, but you need to have a following, and then we'll help you out. It's like, aren't you supposed to be like helping me do that? Like, but I feel like, you know, your work stands on its own, and I mean, it's the fact that you have a buyer like Kanye Digital for your first piece is a really big deal. So yeah, it's just like sky's the limit. So I noticed that like most of your pieces you've minted on Zora, and like usually our guests want to know like, oh, what's your favorite minting platform and why? But I've noticed you've only used Zora. So is there a reason for that?
That's just the first space I was introduced to. My next piece that I plan to work on I'm in Colorado right now, but when I get back, I want to do my first piece on Wearable and see what that is about. So I can't speak to a favorite just yet. But yeah, Zora's been really dope. They've been super supportive as well. With like the couple pieces I put up, they've reshared it, which obviously has helped like get reach and get people's eyes on it. And I've had luck. Luckily, I've sold all the pieces I posted on Zora.
Yeah, I saw that. That's huge. And it's well deserved. Like,
thank you.
Like Nytmare said, like you have the total package. Like I don't know any other artists that, you know, like you're producing your own songs, you're writing your own songs, you're shooting and editing the videos, and it's all aces. Like for all of it to align is like so amazing.
Thank you.
So I was curious, you mentioned that you used to work with producers, and when did you start, when were you like, okay, I need to like make my own beats, and what have you been using to create?
It mostly just comes from like necessity. I don't like waiting on people. I'm a very like, I mean, it speaks to like the fact that Job introduced me to the space and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna do it today. Like, let me go ahead and get a wallet, like all this stuff and like kind of learn everything. Like, so a lot of producers I would work with and they would give me the runaround, or I'm like waiting for them to make time for a session, Bob, you know, all that stuff. Or like, I find as a woman a lot of the time working with male producers sometimes, like if you're very like, like very direct and very just kind of like, this is what I want, or like, no, I don't like this, like you need to change it, like it's kind of like, oh, like, you know, it's kind of, you get a little bit of pushback. So I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna just figure it out myself. And I know like when I have an idea or a vision in my head, like I know exactly how I want it to look like, how I want it to sound like, and I'll just like figure out how to do it. So I think with I have a project called Neptune. So after Neptune, my shadow work project is when I was like, okay, I'm just gonna like, you know, mess around and see what I can do. And I have like a keyboard, so kind of just like experimenting. Same with like how I make these NFTs, just kind of experimenting and like really liking how it turns out and going with it from there.
That's awesome. And so I've been scouting your YouTube also, and this is my favorite video. I already told you that this morning. Like I fucking love this video. Everybody needs to go and watch it. I'll put the sound on really quick so you can hear a little bit of it. But you need to go back and watch this, especially if you're a woman that has been harassed in the street by a bunch of clowns. Like you will feel really like seen and heard. But it's just awesome. Like
you're just trying to play hard to get, and if you want to play hard to get, I'll catch you every time you fall, baby girl.
He improv that whole thing.
I was like, he did this so well. Like,
in the street, I ignore it. Say you fuck a
like,
she for it.
Yes.
Just in my bed. Look into her eyes, she.
And you'll notice all my music videos, it's usually the same people. They're all my friends that like are just down to help out.
So cool.
Don't try to tell me.
That's so cool. Just like I'll like get into the song and I'll forget to ask questions. But yeah, so all of these people are your friends. Are they trained actors or they're just really awesome?
Like that's my best friend Maria. That's Shaw. He's a rapper. He's a really dope rapper too. Shaw Summers. My best friend Jessica. Like these are literally all just like Candace, Annie, all my friends. I'm like, hey, I'm shooting a music video. Like, and also for all my videos, I'm really hands-on. Like, so I'll do my friends' hair. I'll do their makeup. I'll like pick out the wardrobe for them. Sometimes I'll like literally give them my clothes. Like, here, put this on. Like, do this. And like, I have amazing friends that are like, they just like believe in me. And obviously they know I'm not going to have them out here looking crazy. So they really like pulled through and had my back with it. I love this video. Oh, it was really fun. We like, okay, so this building is right next door to my old apartment complex. We literally like snuck into there and shot it, but before we got caught and then dipped out.
I love this. I love the story of this. Yeah, and this scene too. The guy in the park is like,
Adrian. Oh, this was so cool. Fun to shoot. Yeah.
I'm surprised I'm like not surprised yet. I'm surprised that they're your best friends because it just came out so well. Like everything flowed so good. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Like when I work on shoots, I want it to feel fun because then like it comes across better on camera. Like, so we all just kind of like, we're feeding off of each other's energy. Like I'm really big on vibes and energy, all that stuff. So like everyone was good vibes. And like, I think when they see like I'm having a good time and I'm not taking myself too seriously and like, you know, being like, oh no, it has to be this way. So then it just makes like the environment better. Sorry. There's a lot of animals where I'm at. So you might hear a dog or a cat.
No worries. You might hear like motorcycles and like stuff in the background.
Speaking of animals where you're at, you've mentioned a couple times your friends and they
my friends are animals?
No, that was my poor segue. They all seem to be, you know, you have a lot of people that have talented tie-ins. You spoke about producers, rappers, maybe other filmographers. Are you like a circle of creatives? Is this from school or just you happen to come up with people that also had that mindset?
I think it's just living in New York City. like the scene is what we would call it, like just being out and about and like going to shows and things of that nature. You just kind of meet people and get connected that way. But a lot of friends, ooh, I hear an echo. Is that just me?
Turn it up.
Okay. A lot of my, like the friends in the videos, like my best friend Maria, she's like a food ingredients researcher. Annie's a teacher, like Jessica, she works in the film industry, but it's like a mixture. A lot of friends that aren't in the creative space, but like they just really appreciate art and creativity and music and things like that. So they're down to help out.
Very cool.
That's awesome. And I'm trying to remember what my next question was going to be because I just got distracted by that video and now I'm like, oh, which one do I want to next?
Well, I had one. If you don't mind, I'll jump in here. I was just, so you talk about your friends around you. Some of them creative, some of them are just, people from different walks of life. What would you say are your biggest creative influences for you then?
My biggest creative influences, I honestly, like I mentioned before, I travel a lot and I like to kind of dive into like like what's happening in the spaces around me. Like, so before quarantine hit, I was doing an artist residency in Brazil and literally that was my first solo trip. I mean, actually I've done solo trips before, but it was my first solo trip out of the country. So like kind of just literally like walking around, like seeing like live street performers, like just kind of the music they play in cafes. Like even this video that you have up, like this was in California. So kind of just like, I'm from the East Coast. Like, I mean, I'm a military brat, so I've lived everywhere, but it's always on the East Coast. So like being in the West Coast, I'm like, oh my God, this is so different. Like even the music playing on the radio is different. So like, I really love to write songs like while I'm in a certain environment. Like there's another video I have called Drive, which is one of my favorite music videos that I literally I made the beat on the plane to Laos and then I recorded the song as I was shooting the video. So like it's like very how I was feeling and like the sights I was seeing and everything while I was there.
Is that on YouTube?
Yeah,
The
it's
Drive?
right. Yeah, right there. Next,
I'm sorry.
You were on it. Okay, go to the right. Yeah, but right. Right. I'm driving right.
Right there.
Lots of car. Lots of motion.
Yeah, I'll keep the sound up just so.
Yeah, so like a lot of my music, like I think it's from my background in documentary filmmaking. I've had to work with a lot of like sound effects and SFX. So like for this, for example, there were a lot of crickets. So I'll like record the cricket sounds and like include that in the beat. Or just like certain wind sounds. Like I just think like nature and the environment I'm in is like really beautiful and like kind of like it's like all encompassing. Like I don't really make a song without thinking of the visual or make a visual without thinking of the song. Like everything kind of happens at the same time.
That's very Timbaland-esque. Right there, incorporating those terms.
Virginia Beach. So
yeah. But that it just talks to why NFTs are a great medium for you, because you think in that process we're having the multimedia, cross, where people would traditionally be segmented. Let me create the music and then create the visuals. Right. You're talking about literally making them at the same time. And there's a lot of cool things with the smart contract with an NFT that you can have some interaction with the person at the end, where some of these features and some of these variables can change. So once I'm sure you're going to get into experimenting with it, and there's some incredible stuff that can happen. I think what was it, a week or two ago, Async Music came out and had a platform where they can support that. I don't know if you're familiar with Async. But they do stuff with visual arts where basically they can take different pieces and depending on how people want to use it or support it, reconfigure and change the collective piece of art. And so now they're able to do that with music, right? Like the people can own different elements and control how the sound of the song comes, and I'm sure they'll be able to do something with video soon as well. So there's all kinds of cool stuff to experiment in this space, and that sounds exactly like the stuff you are naturally drawn to do.
Yeah, I mean, kind of what you were saying earlier, Heather, about like trying to figure out like just like navigating the space, like taking in that information. I'm like, okay, like ASIC, like I have to look that up after this interview. Like I feel like there's so many realms and like avenues to go down that I'm just kind of like, all right, like, don't get overwhelmed, just kind of like enjoy it and like go with like the natural path of like what intuitively feels right.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think I'm, like you were saying earlier, I'm really into vibes and following intuition. And there's so much in this space that I feel like it's almost impossible unless you don't sleep to
right.
explore all of it and really understand everything that's going on. And there's like this, you have to just trust that you're being led to where you're supposed to be.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, and I feel like you were supposed to be here in Whale Community too. So I'm really glad that you came today. Yeah. And so I guess I was curious also, like, I don't know which question I want to ask first. Let's start with which piece or project has been the biggest learning experience for you?
I think the ride video, that was my first kind of like collage animation. And what was really great about the quarantine for me was that usually when I create, I am by myself, like I live alone. And I'm like, I have a saboteur like that literally will be like, no, this shit is trash. Like, it's horrible. So there's
that too.
Yeah. So there's like, even like the last quarantine bop I never put out, and it got a lot of like love for that too. And I think that that also sold. Being in that space and being able to like show my work to like my brother and his partner and my sister-in-law, like, and they kind of like having that reinforcement. I'm like, oh shit, like, okay, like this is actually tight. And I almost didn't finish the ride video because I started, and again, like my first collage animation, I'm like, because I do a lot of research with every video I make. If I'm trying something new, like, so I'm just on YouTube looking up collage animation and I'm like, this shit looks stupid. Like, I can't do it. And he's just like, you need to keep going. Like, so I think that was big for me to just like, even if I think something is trash, it's probably not. So just kind of like do it and put it out and fuck it. Like, you know, it is what it is. Like, no one's going to come and beat me up if it's not good.
Right.
So like,
only our own little dickhead in our brain that likes to talk shit, but
exactly.
That was the video that you made a green screen out of green CVS bags, right?
Yeah.
It's so fucking
like,
cool.
All right. We were on, it was like the first little like quarantine run too, and it's funny because again, like the universe leading you in the right place, I was thinking like, damn, it would be really tight to make a collage animation, but there's no way I can do it. Like I don't have a green screen. And then we went to CVS and I saw the green CVS bags. I'm like, that's weird. Like I never see gift bags like that color, just like solid. So I'm like, all right, it must be meant to be. And I just bought a bunch, and then like I'm like constructing it, and they're just kind of like, here she goes again, like with this like, you know. But they got used to it at a point, and it worked out. So.
Oh yeah, it did. I wouldn't know that you weren't using like a actual green screen. That's genius. Just like having necessity be the mother of invention.
Right. This is my first video.
Do you want to talk about that and like the creative process behind that?
It's actually, so this is my first video. This was like, because again, like my introduction.
Your dog, I saw them. They're so cute.
Oh, Felix. Yeah, we don't have him anymore. That was my mom's house, actually. Like, this is actually funny. So this was my first music video. I'm like, all right, this is kind of my introduction to the music world, because everyone kind of knew me as like a filmmaker. Like I'd be at the functions and stuff, just shooting like the girl with the camera. And I had always made music since I was like a kid, like was in choir, all of that stuff. But like, I don't know, I think being from a military family, it was kind of like, and I was like a nerd in high school, and I got accepted into Parsons on like almost a full scholarship. My mom was like, no, you need to go to college. Like, you need to like let the music shit go. Like, and our compromise was like, all right, I'll go to this art school, which is college, because I just wanted to pursue music straight out of high school. But anyway, so then once I graduated, I'm like, all right, like I did what I was supposed to do. I got my degree, I got 2 degrees, and now I'm about to do the music thing. And I'm like, I want it to be authentic. I want it to be me. And like, even though I've lived in New York for 10 years, which is crazy, I always felt like Virginia is my home. Like I've always repped Virginia. So I'm like, all right, my first music video has to be in Virginia. So like, literally my partner at that time and like 2 of our friends, like his homeboy who also shoots and his wife, like drove down to Virginia Beach, stayed at my mom's house. They crashed on her couch, and we just like went around and we're shooting around Virginia Beach. And the crazy thing was that we went there because we thought it would be warmer. It's just like wintertime, and it was like the first time there was a blizzard in Virginia Beach. So all this is in the same area. We're like, all right, fuck it. Like, that's my mom's.
It looks so cool.
For a jacket.
With the snow and everything.
Yeah, we just were like we're about to make it work. And
I was like, wait, that's not. I was like, no, that's not fake snow. It's really snowing in the video. It just looks cool.
Real blizzard, and I was freezing. Like, a lot of stuff I shoot, I'm like cold. I'm like, what do they do in America's Next Top Model? Like, they just went through it. Like, I gotta push through.
Yeah, people don't realize how hard it is to be an actor or a model, and like
it's a lot
not shiver or yeah, totally.
Look like I'm enjoying myself.
Yeah. And kind of backtracking a little bit, getting back into your documentary filmmaking roots, I noticed that you helped to organize the Million March in NYC in 2014, and you had created a video documenting some of that. Mm-hmm. And so what do you think the role of art is in furthering social justice causes? And like, 6 years on, like, we're still fighting the same fights, and there's artists like you that are making this amazing work that is speaking truths, and it feels like oh, we're still here. So
yeah.
I mean, what are your thoughts on like how we as artists and as a community can, have our voices be heard and like not be fighting this same fight 6 years from now?
Well, I feel like everybody has their role. Like, there are the organizers, right? And then there are the disruptors or the protesters. And then there are also the documenters or the artists who kind of are sharing the same message in their own way, whether they're just not able to be in the streets. Like, I know that I was in college at the time, so I couldn't disrupt as much as I'd like to. So my biggest thing was bearing witness. I got into it originally, like, after, like, first it was Trayvon Martin, and then it was Mike Brown. And I grew up in a biracial family, so like I found myself having the same conversations with family members who just didn't get it. They're like, and then they're talking shit about the protesters, and I'm like, the media is lying, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, well, you don't know what you're talking about because you're not there. And I'm like, you're right. So like, I figured out a way to, I found out a friend was riding to Ferguson, and I'm like, let me come with you. And I was like, I'll shoot the behind the scenes stuff, like whatever you need. And so like, that's how I kind of got into the social justice space with Ferguson. And shout out to Kemba. He's the one in, why am I blanking on their name? Oh my God. Fuck. I'm gonna remember. I hate when I like am telling stuff and I can't remember to shout out the person. But and then after that is kind of how I got involved with like Millions March and like that space, just kind of like, because I saw people were engaging with what I was shooting. They're like, wow, like this is what's actually happening. Like, I have a video called The Violence in Baltimore, where it was kind of like about the protests happening in Baltimore, because they were like, oh, these protests, like you're focusing on the reaction rather than the cause of why these people are in the streets. Like, you shot an unarmed Black man and are trying to villainize him, but you want to like focus on the buildings that are going to be rebuilt, you know what I mean? Like, and not the life that can't come back. And also you have police officers, what I saw in Ferguson, like provoking people and kind of just like playing in people's face, and then you have the camera crew to catch the reaction afterwards. So like with The Violence in Baltimore was kind of to show the irony that you're talking about, these protesters being violent, but you're not seeing like what the cops are doing. Like, they literally would section off reporters in like out of the way, out of eyesight, while they like beat the shit out of people that are unarmed, just literally chanting, like peacefully protesting. So again, I think there are people, everyone plays their role. There are people that are work with policy, that are like making their way in the government to try to like make change that way. There are people that, again, disruptors that are making their voices heard in other ways. And then I feel like my place in this space is to kind of just like also use my voice, obviously, but also just kind of like show visually like what is going on in a way that will resonate with people. So I feel like I rambled, but
No, that was awesome.
No.
I think that artists have a unique role because you can put out a variety of mediums, and it takes a stand. A lot of people can talk smack behind a username on a screen or an avatar on the other end of a video, but at the end of the day, when you sign your name on something and put it out there, you're evoking emotion for a purpose. Sometimes the people don't agree with you, but you initiate that conversation, and that conversation happening is important. That's why I kind of have an issue with some of the cancel culture stuff, because yes, some stuff is atrocious, but if you're not going to have the conversation about it, then what's going to change, right? So kudos to you for willing to take a stand out there, because the inverse happens, right? And sometimes I get frustrated with artists that have platforms and have been asked and are in position to take a stand and won't, because it could jeopardize, financial ramifications or sponsorships, or they don't want to alienate some people. And, everyone has a right to do what they're, they feel is best for them, and who knows all the reasons, but that's one of the powerful things about art. So it's really moving to see that you put that at the forefront of what you do and you're proud of it.
For sure. I mean, like, I grew up in Southern Virginia, so like I'm very familiar with, and like I said before, like in a biracial family, so like I really, like, race has been like in my, like, I was very aware of my Blackness from a very young age. And that's something that a lot, like, unless you're a person of color or a Black person in this country, you don't really understand that, or that's not something that's on the forefront of your mind. So like, that's a part of my brand. Like, I'm a Black woman. I don't care who gets alienated by like what I have to say or the issues I speak out about, because it's something that I still deal with. And until something's done about it, then I'm going to keep talking about it. And that's just what it is.
You know what's interesting, and this is kind of a digression. Now, this is important stuff, but on a broader scale, looking at a lot of your stuff, a lot of your art, the way you're presented in these NFTs, in the videos, your website, etc., it's clear that you're a person that you just want to show what you're about and not have to kind of curate an image. Right? You're like, hey, I'm proud of everything I represent. I want you to take it as it is. Right. And that's powerful, because a lot of people don't do that. They try to carefully, meticulously craft something that's not authentic. And you can see how genuine it is across a variety of mediums. Your music, which is banging, by the way. I'm putting together a playlist of all our FM artists, and I've been playing you and from your videos and even your visual artwork with the photos and whatnot. So just wanted to share that.
Thank you. I mean, and to that point, there was a time I got wrapped up in image. I think like my project before my last one, Shadow Work, that was me trying to fit an image or try to like I don't know what word I'm looking for, but like that's the time I was sitting with labels and they're pulling me in different directions, like, oh, you need to do this, or oh, you need to do that, or you need to pick, because I switch up, like you'll see me blonde, I might have red hair tomorrow, you know what I mean? So like kind of like, oh, you need to pick an image and stick with it, like you can't be experimenting, like you need to like have a brand. And I thought I had a brand, like, I mean, obviously like I'm a business major, but it just felt like I was performing for an audience when that's not even what I want to do. Like I just literally like, I just want to live my life to create and like be able to like have enough money to do what I want and move around the world and like be happy. But it is really hard to not get wrapped up. And especially when you have people coming to like, oh, you're so good, you need to do this, like you should be here. And I'm like, yeah, but I want to be there because it's me, not because like, I fit some mold or like I took shortcuts. Like I'd rather take the long way. If it takes like another couple years to get to, I guess, the stature that I want to get to, like I'll take that.
Yeah. There's actually a question from our group in Discord that I think is kind of relevant to this conversation when it comes to like fitting a mold and like working with record companies and this pressure to like be one way, instead of like embracing the fact that like all of us are multifaceted and like, right. And there's a brand within that for each of us if we need to think of it in that way. But their question was, if a major label approached you now would you take an offer, or would you stay the course and stay independent within the crypto space, given the success that you've had so far?
I'm not like strictly like I'm going to be independent. You know, I think if it was a deal that allowed me creative freedom and was reasonable, then I would consider it. Just because, you know, I would like a team. Like I love doing things on my own, but a lot of things I do just out of necessity because I don't have that team. So if I were approached with a deal that provided me with the team that I need, or just like the resources to be able to build my own team, like, you know, to pay I pay my friends when they help out with stuff, but like to actually pay them well, you know? Yeah, I would be open to that. I'm not against it at all.
That's awesome. Sorry, go ahead, Nytmare.
No, I was just gonna give you the warning, because some of the other artists we've had on here have already said that they've been called back to the table by labels to amend their contracts to include NFTs, because the NFTs have allowed them to circumvent them taking their chunk of, you know, the monetary compensation there and have to divvy it up. So instead of doing that, you know, artists are getting a lot of this directly, and you know, they're onto that. So I
guess we'll have to part ways then.
Yeah,
like, you know,
or if someone approaches you and they try to put the clause in there that they've got to take like 75% of your NFT sales, you're just like, no, we're not doing that.
Like, obviously, like, for certain things, I'll have a lawyer look over it. But like I like with my degree, I took business law, so I read even if it's a lease for an apartment, I read every single detail. And if there's anything I'm confused about, like I'll get that cleared away either with the person or with a lawyer. But yeah, I mean, I think for me, I've busted my ass to kind of build a life for myself that I really like. So I wouldn't be afraid to turn down an offer if it's not suitable for me. Like, obviously it would be nice to have a little bit more money in my pocket and a little bit more resources, but that's not about to make or break me.
Yeah, definitely. Well, like on a more lighter question that we got from the group, Light was asking, what would your dream collaboration be?
Okay. So my like top inspiration is Santa Gold. Like I love Santa Gold.
Love her. I love her. Now that you say that and I'm looking at your videos, I'm like, oh yes, totally.
I'm obsessed. Yeah, Santa Gold or Khalees. Like I love Khalees as well. Those two top, and Khalees is a Leo too. So be a nice little Leo connection. I love them. I think growing up, I mean, outside of like Fifi Dobson, there wasn't a lot of like Black alternative, like edgy, like mainstream artists that I could look up to. So those were two women that kind of just didn't fit the mold and like were experimental and like quote unquote weird. And like, I just like related to it so much because I feel like I'm all over the place with like, Black women aren't a monolith anyway, but I feel like there's a certain expectation, especially when it comes to certain genres of music. And I just think they're amazing because they jumped right out of that mold.
Yeah, they're both super talented, Khalees and Santa Gold. So you'd like to work with them?
Yeah, for sure.
And any producers or filmmakers?
Obviously, well, being from Virginia Beach, like I would love to work with Pharrell and Timbaland, Missy Elliott. Like, I think I just love Timbaland Pharrell sound. Like, it's in terms of like the beats that they make, like I find myself kind of in a way trying to emulate that. Obviously not copying it, but just like putting my own twist and flavor to it. That's like, you know, I'm going to speak it into existence. This year, I'm going to work with either both Pharrell and or Timbaland for sure.
Yes, and so shall it be, or something even better beyond your wildest dreams or imagination. I totally see that. Like, I don't see why not. Timbaland's beats are like, he's like Rain Man or something. Like, I don't know how he does it. It's like ridiculous. Yeah. So I also see that, so we So you're a freelance video editor, and you've worked with some major companies like Amazon, YouTube, and Forbes. So I was curious, like, who was your favorite to work with, and who was your least favorite to work with, and why? If you can answer that question, if you didn't sign an NDA or something.
I didn't sign any NDAs. Okay, my favorite is Forbes, just because Kirsten is the most amazing producer I've ever worked with. Like, I've worked with them. It was like, shout out to Jake Robbins, actually. He's the one who got me that gig. I was literally like broke as fuck. Like, I had no job. I think I had lost my Permalance gig that I had, and I like literally was broke as fuck. And he was shooting and editing a segment for Forbes, and he basically gave up the editing portion to pass off to me. Like, he's like, whatever, like, I don't have to edit this, like, here. And I'm like, oh my God, that's so nice of you. So I was doing some work for them, and then it turned into like yearly, doing the 30 under 30. And Kirsten, she's just like super chill, super understanding, like a human being. And there have been producers I've worked with, like, they talk to you just like any kind of way. And they think, they don't consider the fact, again, that you're human, and like computers mess up, or like, you can get out. I bust my ass with any job I have, but I want to help you out more, and I want to go above and beyond for you more if you like just are nice to me, just treat me well, like don't talk to me crazy. And she's just amazing and great. My least favorite was Amazon.
I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised at all.
My least favorite was Amazon. I was working in the office. It's like Herald Square, and it was always cold as shit in there. I always would get sick. It's like a windowless building. So I'm in this editing room with like no windows, like pitch black, cold as shit. I'm just like, what the hell? And whatever. I'm not afraid of not working for them again, but I don't know. It's just like the opposite of what I was saying in terms of how Forbes treated me. Like, it was very cold, I guess. Like, I mean, I get it. Like, I can
like
go
you're
with
just a set of hands.
Yeah.
Like, like, because video editing, I'd imagine, is like a little bit. I used to work in advertising. I was in the production studio department doing design and stuff, and we were always the last to know, but like we still had the deadline, and we still had to magically figure out, even if like the creative team fucked up. So it was like, I'm sure it's really similar with video editing. You're like one of the last in line. Yeah,
the money was great, but it's just, it wasn't for me.
No, and even when money is great, like if it's a tax on your mental health, like it just, that like takes years and time away from you. Like as you get older, you realize like it's just not worth it.
It's not.
To do that.
It really isn't.
It's better to be broke and stressed about being broke than like doing some shit that you hate, I feel like.
I will say, like, I'm glad that I'm in the position in life now. Like, I remember when I first moved to New York, I remember having to like order pizza to last me for the week, like to eat. Like, I was just broke as fuck. But I'm glad that I'm in the position now, just like from like the hard work and like connections I've built up, where I can turn down jobs and I can be like, no, that's not a fit. Whereas before, like, I would be scrambling just to like be able, because like, I'm the first of my family to be an artist. Like, most of my mom was in the military and worked in the government. I'm the first like creative to kind of like try to make a living off of it. So I forgot where I was even going, but all that's to say that I'm glad that I'm in a position to be able to have decisions and have, authority over what type of work I want to do.
Yeah, it's like the best kind of freedoms to be able to choose, like, no, I'm not going to take this job. And I know that unfortunately sometimes people are in that position where they have to say yes to something that like their whole body is saying no. Please don't make us do this.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's what's so cool about like this space too. I feel like you have so much freedom. You're not tied to like an employer or a record company telling you like you have to do it this way. You can't dye your hair, you can't cut your hair, or you can't wear these clothes. You have to wear this brand or whatever.
Right.
And I don't know. I think that I don't know where I'm going with this, but like I think that record companies and other sort of like art creative representation. Like they're not going to have as much power as they used to.
I don't think so either. I think especially, I'm sorry to cut you off.
No, go ahead.
I think especially with like the internet, like you see so many kids like on sound, like with the SoundCloud era, and even now, like they just blow up from just like off of the strength of like they have good music. They don't have to go through a label to get, you know, radio play or to have posters and billboards and stuff all over the place. Like you're able to like literally, like I can go on my computer and click and listen to your music or watch your videos. But I think the cool thing about NFTs now is that it's not like streaming. Like, you know, you have a distribution company, but you're only getting like cents for things that you spent hundreds to thousands of dollars of. So that's why NFTs are cool, because not only is like kind of like what you said, not only are, you know, you have that visibility and you're able to push your stuff on your own, you can get paid well for it as well, like what the companies are making off of your hard work.
Yeah, I was just going to mention that, you know, the commoditization of music and art that's really happened with the internet. It has its pros and cons. It's good because it enables you to have a huge audience, right? And like you said, SoundCloud people can blow up and anyone can put something up and get attention. But there are still curators that make the playlists and things like that. But like I always give this analogy, someone jacked an old song of mine that ended up on Spotify, and I never put my own stuff. So I said, let me just check out, you know, should I bother registering myself on here? And then I looked up what it monetarily, like what it would have meant. And, you know, for the whatever it was, hundreds of thousands of streams times 0.0005 cents split between me and 3 people. I said it's not really worth it. But what NFTs has helped do, and I say help because it's not the solution that's going to enable every artist to be able to just do art, but it helps decommoditize the music and decommoditize art and put it back into a value proposition where this is valuable to people. People want to spend money on it because it has intrinsic value and artistic integrity matters to people, and they're willing to pay for it. Whereas just feeling entitled to just have it because it's a free ecosystem. Right. So that I forgot the artist. I can't, maybe Heather remembers, but it's someone on, I think on the Bondly platform. He does EDM somewhere internationally. Not super well known, but has a following. And he dropped an NFT, and I think he sold like 20 of them. And he was over the moon because 20 ETH was more money than he made in a year of streaming, right? He was like, wow, now I can just get in the studio and really hustle and put this on. So it doesn't need to explode. You don't need to sell a 69. I mean, it's nice you sell a $69 million NFT. Yeah. But that's not necessary, you know, but on a grander scale, on a macro movement, it's putting the value back into people's minds of art of all different platforms. And I think that's valuable.
I will say the one thing that I will say is that it does cost money to make money. So one thing I think it's really important, these funds that are happening, like this crowdsourcing to try to get artists ETH so they can mint their first pieces, because like, you know, luckily I was able to like throw a couple. I mean, I'm usually good, like if I make a sale, then like I'll put a portion of that back into my wallet so then I can use that money to mint other pieces. But for someone that doesn't have a couple $100 or even $100, it's difficult to get started. So I would like to see it. I mean, obviously, like that's like a whole nother story, but it would be nicer, like when people are able, that don't have the money to invest into it, like if they're able to put their art out without having to worry about like the risk of like spending that money and then maybe not making a sale, because then you just threw away $100-something. I think that's when it'll be even more fruitful than it already is.
Yeah, and they're already talking from a technical. I don't want to go way down the technical.
I was like,
no, but they're working on layer 2 solutions to take out the gas fee and make it easier. Blah blah blah. But you bring up another point. I was in a clubhouse room. Snoop was in there. Game was in there, and they were like these. So cool. Yeah, they were like, this movement's dope. There's so much great stuff going on. Let's talk about accessibility. Because you know the boys I know down on the block, they can't get this on the blockchain. Okay. Some of them don't even have iPhones to get into the ecosystem. So let's talk about how we're going to make not only this movement, but even as a consumer, this accessible to everybody. So people are having those conversations now. Yeah. And some of this big money is stepping up to the plate and putting money behind it to try to make that happen.
good. No, that's what I love about it. Like, I love what kind of like captured me and kept me here is the community. Like, there's so much support, like so many dope artists supporting each other. And also like the collectors, like we like follow each other on Twitter, and like it's just, I don't know, it's just really dope. Like that reassurance is, especially for an artist, like it means so much. Like I mean, obviously I know that I'm dope and I think that I'm dope, but it means more like when you have that person like, look, I want to spend this money on you because I believe in your work and like I want you to keep going. It's like, okay, like thank you. Like I'll keep going then.
How about, do you have any advice for musicians or any artists for that matter that are kind of looking at the space and they're kind of hesitant to get involved, or that are just getting started? What would you say to encourage them or to walk them through that stage that they're in right now where they're unsure about it?
I think everyone is different, but I know like I have a friend, Chinola, shout out Chinola. She's trying to get into the space, and the advice I've given her is kind of just like, do some research, like see what pieces are selling, see like what they're doing, see like kind of the conversations they're happening and like the community they're cultivating, and then try to grow, like learn from that in your own way. Like, okay, like here are the things that you're good at, here is what you specialize in, like how can you make that fit, not even make it fit, but like obviously don't do just what you want to sell, but like what you're already doing, how could you cultivate that to make it fit within this space, and how can you like keep that going and keep like to be a part of that, if that makes sense.
It does, and I like that you said fit within the space and be a part of it, as opposed to some people that are trying to just slap something on to, you know, be in the stream as things are flowing and capture some of the dollars. So great advice.
Thank you. Yeah, and you can tell, like, not to like shit on anyone, but you can tell people that like see the money and they're like, oh, let me hurry up and like put some text on like a white background and like try to sell. Like it's obvious when you do that. That's why you have like super talented artists, like, I don't want to pronounce her name wrong. I think is it Leona?
Yeah, Leona. Yeah.
Leona. Okay. Shout out to Leona. She sold that amazing, beautiful piece for 3.5 WETH, and it's well deserved because you could tell like the you could feel the passion from it. Like you could see the hard work that went into it, and it's beautiful.
And that's the one in the whale vault, right?
Yep, that's going in the vault. Alegria.
Amazing.
And,
but you can
Damien
tell.
bought it. Yeah, that was a really cool effort. That they were both bidding on it together and to put it in the vault. And so I'm really excited for her. We had her here a couple of weeks ago. I think you were there for that.
Mm-hmm.
And Chinola too. We would love to have her on. I think her work is great.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good to see more new faces and like people who really like give a fuck and are thinking about like the long term of being in this space versus like, I think a lot of people are looking at it like, oh, I'll just like mint, if they already have a name for themselves, they're like, oh, I'll just like mint an NFT and like it'll sell because it's me.
It's me, right?
And I'm not gonna name any names, but it's just like, and it's a good thing that we have some of the bigger names coming in because it's drawing attention to the space, and that's necessary.
Right.
Because that puts more eyes on the up and coming artists.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's just really important for artists that give a fuck to keep going and like not get discouraged by that, because we don't want the space to be like just inundated with people that are like slapping stuff together because they're trying to get in on this fad, and like it's not a fad, it's something that has so many use cases, and like it's only limited by our imaginations what we can do with it.
Right.
So,
and I do like that, like it seems like there's a support and love for like everyone, like everyone's always retweeting each other and like confirming like you're amazing, and like I think that's dope, especially coming from a city like New York City. Like, not to talk shit, like I love New York, but it is a very like kind of like survival of the fittest type energy. Like it's harder to get to have a community there and to get help. Like everyone kind of wants to like hide their resources and hide their knowledge and things of that nature. So it's really cool to, again, like shout out to Ja for even like bringing me into this space. Like you could have not said shit and I would have seen it and like not known. Maybe I would have got into it eventually, but it's really cool that like artists genuinely want to help each other and like uplift each other.
Yeah, it's really beautiful. And I'm from New York, and it definitely has this, it's an exhausting vibe. Like if you don't have your people there, in your bubble, it can be really soul crushing to try to get by there. So it's cool that like you created so much while you were in New York too, that you found your people and created such beautiful work. Like,
thank you.
Yeah, I still can't get over the tell me about it video. That shit is like the best thing I've ever seen. That needs to go viral. It doesn't make sense why it isn't yet, but maybe the whale community can help change that and
do it. Watch all
share it, because yes, watch all of her videos, follow her everywhere, buy her music on Apple Music and Spotify, play the shit out of it on Spotify, like put it on repeat while you go to sleep so she can get her 50 cents in 3 years.
Okay.
So dang, I can't believe I always say this, I can't believe it's been an hour. It really can't.
I know.
Wait.
But Nytmare, keep going. No, it's not like we have to stop. Yeah.
Oh, I thought I was nervous. I was nervous. I thought I wouldn't get this one in. So I'm super intrigued. This stuff is awesome. Obviously you got a lot of big supporters from other like really powerful people in the NFT community. So I need to know, what is next? What do you have that you're working on? What can we look forward to? Whether it's NFTs, whether it's music videos, drops, let us know what we can look forward to here.
Yeah, so I have a song called Rum and Coke that I love. It's one of my favorite songs that I've made so far. I shot a music video for it back in October, and I'm editing it now. I'm almost done with it, and I'm gonna drop that pretty soon. I have a really good feeling about it. I don't want to jinx it, but it's one of my favorite music videos, and I think because it feels very me. Like it's back in Virginia. Again, my friends and family are in it. It's the first music video my brother's in, which is me and my brother are really close. So it's really dope.
Awesome.
So I'm hyped for it. And I plan to do another NFT soon. A lot of them, like the true one, it kind of just like, there are days I wake up and I'm like, I feel like making something. And that's what I love about being back in Virginia. Like I have the space to do that, literally, because rent is affordable, not like it was in New York. Like I said earlier, I do plan for that to be my first post unwearable. So look out for that. Not quite sure what it's going to be yet, but I'm excited.
I'm sure whatever it is, it'll be awesome. And don't worry, Nytmare, that was going to be my last question.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'm too into this one. I was excited.
So your next NFT, you don't have a release date for it yet, but when is Rum and Coke coming out?
Rum and Coke, it doesn't have a release date, but I'm aiming for April, May. Definitely, I want it to come out in the springtime for sure. I just kind of want to I want to move smart and strategically with this one. So I don't want to put I think what's got me in trouble in the past is that I was rushing. I'm okay, I have to always put things out. I have to be current. But now I think that's the cool thing with NFTs too. I can kind of still be putting stuff out and be having fun. And then I have my more the work I spend more time on and I'm more meticulous with over a period of time that I can actually perfect, because I'm a Virgo moon, so I'm a perfectionist. So yeah, that will be April, May, and the NFT will be before that probably. I'm probably mid-April. I'm in Colorado until April 2nd, so I plan to work on it as soon as I get back.
That song is so smooth, by the way. That was the first one that I put onto the Spotify playlist.
Hey, thank you. I love it.
It's sultry. It's got I got that in the background, just catching the vibe.
Yeah, that's the vibe of the video too. I'm excited because it came out exactly how I in my head. So this one, I did everything from top to bottom. I produced the beat from scratch during quarantine, recorded it, co-shot the music video, directed it, styled it, and editing it. So I'm hyped.
Yeah.
Amazing stuff.
Thank you.
So fucking talented, so amazing. Thank you so much for coming here today. Thank you, Nytmare, for tag teaming with me today with my Wi-Fi issues. I think this was really fun. I want to do that again with you. We've done this before. It's really fun.
No, this has been really fun.
Heather keeps me in line because I get out of control.
I was going
to say, I think it's the other way around because I get like into like one thing and Nytmare's like, let's come back to the topic at hand. Like, but it's I don't know. I love this place. I'm so grateful to be in the whale community and grateful to speak to amazing artists like you and be on this amazing team. And so everybody be sure to follow Cöco Mamba everywhere, download her music, support her, and obviously you can come back here and share your work in our personal projects channel or in Off Topic whenever you want. Like as soon as it releases, like don't be shy. We want to keep up with you and love to hear from you in a couple months and see where you're at.
For sure.
So yeah, thanks again and have a magical day.
You
Bye
too.
everybody.